good evening. The new Dracula film, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, opens in Britain next week. But the family of the man who created Dracula are angry with Coppola for claiming that their ancestor died of a sexually transmitted disease. This report by Triona Holden.
Vampires do exist. This one we fight, this one we face. Can take on many forms. He is both young and old.
It's called Bram Stoker's Dracula. Unlike other vampire films, it attempts to be faithful to the Victorian book and its author, something that's impressed critics. Not so happy, though, are Stoker's descendants. They're angry with the film's director, Francis Ford Coppola. In interviews about the symbolism of blood and sexually transmitted diseases, he's been saying their ancestor died of VD.
You can't avoid to think of the parallels. Stoker himself died of syphilis, and the issue of venereal disease as it now really hits us, and this time is very profound, and of the sanctity of the blood.
Makers of the film say the information about Bram Stoker having syphilis comes from a book by his great-nephew Daniel Farson, but its conclusions are hotly disputed by much closer relatives like Stoker's granddaughter.
I've got the death certificate, and it says nothing about syphilis on it. Someone said, it might be Dan Farson, that he had a peculiar gait. But that was, I think, because he had a stroke. I'm annoyed, and I think it's horrid, because I don't think it's a very nice thing to say about someone who can't defend themselves. He died when he was 64 of overwork and kidney disease.
Not of syphilis?
Well, I don't think so.
The row about whether Dracula's creator had VD or not looks set to run as long as the story itself. One distant relative and self-proclaimed expert won't let the matter rest. He says he wants a written apology from Mr. Coppola.
There is not the slightest shred of evidence that Bram Stoker had contacted any sexually transmitted disease whatsoever.
So, what was your reaction when you heard that this is what was being said?
Outraged at this, that some film director should take up his work. After all, they pay no royalties. The work has been out of copyright since 1962, but these film people take this thing on and think chauvinistically, especially the Americans, that they can just take somebody's work, use it to their advantage, exploit it, and then turn around and defame the man's character.
Bram Stoker's family say they're not attacking the new Dracula film. They haven't seen it yet. In fact, his granddaughter hasn't been invited to Sunday's premiere. What they are concerned about, though, is getting the record straight, making sure that future generations don't think their ancestor died of a sexually transmitted disease.
Well, Columbia Pictures, who are premiering Dracula this weekend in London, told us Mr. Coppola believes the question of Stoker's syphilis is a family dispute, which doesn't affect his film.
This year has so